What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm chilling, bruh. I got my monster. I got everything set up, ready to roll.
Yep. So I got a dad joke for you.
All right.
So, what kind of coordination did Whitney Houston have?
I have no idea.
Think about it. We'll revisit.
I don't even want to guess at that one.
Welcome to another edition of the Big Dad Energy Podcast. I'm your host, Nick, aka BDE.
And I'm Gus, and I wouldn't mind a KEG.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe on whichever platform you are listening to this podcast.
Yep. So, let's talk about complacency. Its negative impact on personal and professional growth.
Luckily, Georgia didn't end up losing like Notre Dame did to Northern Illinois. They found a way to stay true and pull it out.
Because I don't think the Bulldogs were complacent.
No, but I think they were complacent at the beginning of the game. Talent-wise, experience-wise, Georgia should not have been letting Kentucky stay around as long as they did. Georgia should have pulled away at some point. Because you and I were discussing when we were watching the game. Kirby's going to go in the half. He's going to make some adjustments. He's going to come out in the second half. And Georgia's going to pull away. That's what Kirby does. That's the definition of what they do, a championship team. But that never happened.
But to bring it back to complacency, I will say, once you've reached the top of that mountain, you've hit that goal you're looking for, the national championship, you got the repeat, you were going for the three-peat, didn't quite pan out the way you were supposed to, but you've hit your goals. Where do you go from there? A lot of people have a tough time setting that next goal, right? You get your goal and you kind of stay there, right? You see it in people with jobs. You see it in people with their lifestyle. That once they hit that certain mark, good enough becomes good enough. They get comfortable when your safety net becomes a hammock. And then the worst thing that can happen from there is that safety net turns into a fishing net where it's a trap and now you're stuck. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do to get out of that. And we'll get into that a little bit deeper later on in the show. The magic happens outside the comfort zone. Like, here's your comfort zone. Here's where all the magic happens. You really got to get yourself off of that comfort zone.
No, 100%. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So like you said, right, once you hit your goal, what's your next goal, right? Like, what's the next thing where you're working towards, you're striving towards? It's that understanding of, yeah, I got to my goal, but you have to look at it as a ladder. I got to this rung, doesn't mean I'm at the top of the ladder, right? Even though you, in Georgia's case, won a national championship, went back to back, whatever it is, you hit that rung, but you still have to be motivated enough to continue growing, evolving, getting better, and taking the next necessary step for whatever it is that you want to do. It's, if you're on a diet, right? I hate the term diet. I prefer the term lifestyle change because that changes your mindset, right? If a diet's more of a temporary thing, a lifestyle change is a permanent thing, right? A lot of people, like I'm guilty of it because I got on keto back in 2018. It was hard for me to bend over and tie my shoes, even like when I was sitting. It was uncomfortable and it was ridiculous. So I decided to make a change thanks to those around me like yourself who were kind of pushing and motivating me to do something different and to change my situation, right? And I ended up losing 50 pounds in a span of like 4 months. But what happened? It was October, November, it was the holidays. I got complacent. I got comfortable.
You got complacent, yep.
Right? And so I haven't gained all of it back, but I gained at least half of it back. And that's what happens when you stay comfortable, right? You get that blanket over you. You're nice and warm and cozy and you're like, you know what? I'm happy here. I'm just going to stay here. But the issue is you can't maintain your position or stay there if you don't work for it.
And I think that's the bad thing. Once you've achieved that goal, where do you draw the line in the sand? An example of that. I'm going to bust my ass. I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can because I want to buy this car. What happens after you get that car? It's shiny and cool and awesome for the first week. and then it's not that new car anymore. It's just the car. What happens when you bust your ass and you kill it and you get in that apartment or you get in that house that you want? It's really cool for a little bit, and then now I got to maintain this house. I got to cut that grass. I got to pay the bills on it. I got to do repairs on it. All that comes into play, and you get into that sense of comfort. But should you just be going after those goals? Once you hit your target, let's say your target was to lose those 50 pounds. Once you get there, do you keep going? Or that's good enough? Is that considered complacency? I don't personally think it's complacency. I'm not in the hunt for, I bought that new car, and now that I have it, now I need to go buy an even bigger, better, badder car. Once I bought that house, now I got to go get a bigger, better house. It's a good thing to set your goals, but make those your standards, not necessarily your goals, where you don't dip below that. That's just what it is, and now you're achieving the next highest standard instead of calling them goals or achievements.
Correct. No, I'm with you there. It's your perspective. You got to change the outlook, right? You go back to me losing the 50 pounds. It's like, what do you do from there? What I should have done was continue to eat better, not go back to bad habits, but then change up my workout routine. Because I've always said, well, once I lose a little bit of weight, I'll have the energy to do the other things that I want to do, right? Like you said, start setting those standards, start building that solid foundation that you want to have, or the expectations that you have for yourself and for your family or what have you. That's why it's important, in my opinion, to write those things down and to have those reminders set, because it's dangerous when you start teetering with a level of comfort, right, or complacency. Like for me, I know one of the dangers of complacency is a downgraded way of life, right? Or it starts seeping into those around you, into your home that you spoke of, into your family, things like that. If you get comfortable, get complacent, because you and I are both dads, you and I are both husbands, right? We have a family that we need to provide for and take care of. Being complacent doesn't just affect us, right? It affects those around us. And what example are we setting for our kids if they see, oh, my dad's just cool with being comfortable and not really working hard? Yeah, he works, but I'm in school when he's at work. So now when we're around each other, yeah, we're spending time together, but I don't see my dad working hard or doing anything, right? You got to take those next steps to continue whatever your motivation is, right? So that's my motivation. Something that I'm continuously working on to improve on is not only telling my kids what needs to be done and how something should be done, but showing them, because kids are copycats. That everything you say, everything they see, everything you do, they're going to want to emulate. So if they see you working hard, they're going to want to do the same. If they see you laying down on the couch watching TV, they're going to want to do the same, right? So that's something that I'm definitely struggling with. But I think that the reminders that we have set in place to make sure that we are hands-on, showing them how to do things, so on and so forth. It's something that Cindy and I talked about the other day. So I definitely think just having that partner on the same page with you, and surrounding yourself with people who have like-minded goals and perspectives, is something that'll definitely help you from, falling into complacency.
Now, there is a flip side to that. You don't want to overdo it. Sometimes when you're getting out of complacency, you start gaining momentum, you start gaining traction, and you can take on a little bit too much too fast, right? The example that I gave earlier, you've got your comfort zone. You have all this space where all the magic happens, right? But just over here, just outside of where the magic is, you have burnout. There's a time and place for everything. You've got, what you're talking about, laying on the couch with your kids. Don't not do that, but don't overdo it. Because otherwise, you could turn into a bicycle. You know why a bicycle always falls over, don't you?
You lose balance.
No, they're always too tired.
I like the dad joke.
See what I did there?
It's funny because there's a balance. There's always a balance. And you have to be able to spend that quality time and have that quality time, because you don't want your kids growing up to all they know is work hard, work hard, work, like continue. You want them to work hard, but you want them to understand that family time is important too. I don't know when was the last time you saw the movie Click, but we just watched that with the boys the other day.
Dope movie.
That a very dope movie. That's the moral of the story in that movie is you have to learn to find that balance. He was trying to work hard for a promotion. His wife wanted him to spend more time at home. His kids wanted him to finish building the treehouse for them, and he got a universal remote that fast forwarded his life until he died, and he spent no time with his kids.
Ooh, hold on. Let's go back, because the moral of the story that I got from that is totally different. The moral of the story that I got from Click is you have to be in the moment, because life is a journey. When you're in the process of busting your ass and working to that next goal like he was doing, take a step back and enjoy where you're at. Have gratitude for what you got, because it doesn't last forever, and eventually you'll get to that goal. Don't just try to rush through it. Don't just try to get through it. Like, enjoy where you're at too.
But everyone's got a different perspective on certain things, right? And everyone takes things a different way. But it's enjoying what you have around you, right? It's learning that work, because if you're at work all the time busting your butt and you're not able to stop in the moment and spend that time with your family or your kids, or appreciate what you have and all that stuff, like you said, you're just going to fast forward through life, right? You don't have that work-life balance.
In my life, I have prioritized stuff that I shouldn't have, and I've not prioritized stuff that I should have. And you have to prioritize your well-being, taking time to better yourself, sharpening the saw, making sure you are guarding what's most important to you, right? If it's finances, taking those extra shifts, working a little bit extra harder, taking on that second job, but also learning how to budget, changing your lifestyle, doing what you got to do to get out of that complacency, prioritizing your recreation too, so you don't hit that burnout, prioritizing your family and friends, your relationships, so that way you don't get out into that burnout because you're working too hard or you're just wasting time. You want to make sure you have a good balance, set those priorities. I worked for a very large retail store in the wireless industry, and I worked for that company for a total of 17 years. My first 11 years with the company, one store, and I got to a point where I got tired of being complacent and I was ready to make the next move, but I didn't want it to happen. I wanted it to happen a certain way, not the right way. I felt like almost an entitlement. I've been here longer than most people. I have better numbers than most people, but I could not get promoted. And what set me off on my whole leadership path was a book called Who Moved My Cheese. Have you ever read it, Nick?
I haven't read it, but I know about it. I know about it.
Oh, bro. I'm sending you that book. It is so good. It's so short. It's amazing. I'll give you a quick summary, right? Here's the Cliff Notes. Here's the Gus Notes. You got 4 characters, little miniature characters. This is metaphorical. But you've got 2 little mice, one named Sniff, one named Scurry. You've got 2 little human people, one named Hem and one named Haw. And they go into the maze of life and they find the cheese. It's a cheese station, and they continue going there, and it's amazing. Every day they go there, they eat their cheese, they go home, they take some cheese with them. Life is good, right? But they get to a point of complacency because when the cheese was coming, they literally set up their houses. They literally, when they get to work, they take their shoes off at the cheese stations and they just get comfy. They just chill. But as time progresses, less and less the cheese is being provided to them. So Sniff and Scurry, who are not complacent at all, notice, hey, something's going on here. There's not as much cheese here anymore. The cheese isn't as good as it used to be. We're out. Boom. So there you go, out into the maze to go look for more cheese. The 2 little people, because they're super smart, because they're more complex, more advanced, they hem and they haw and they stay there. Like, well, cheese used to come here, so eventually cheese will come. And when it stops coming, they make up a ton of excuses why they shouldn't go out to look for more cheese. It's a phenomenal book. I'll leave it there. More happens. One of them ends up overcoming it and going back out there, but you definitely got to go check it out. It's It's solid and it's a quick read.
No, no, I love it. I'm all about those quick reads that make a large impact, right? In a much similar situation, I was getting complacent at work, and it was frustrating because I couldn't get promoted. No matter what I did, no matter how much I beefed up my resume, switched it up, networked, so on and so forth. I couldn't get the promotion that I was looking for, right? So I took it upon myself, like, listen, I either gotta move on to a different line of business or I gotta move on somewhere else. So I took control of the opportunities and the doors that were being opened for me, and I kicked another one open to get me into a better position for that work-life balance and to help improve my career on a different path. And one book that was given to us upon my hire date was The Energy Bus. You read it?
I have not read that one. Who's that one by? Do you know?
John Gordon.
Okay.
So I have a copy at the house. So I'm gonna have to get it to you so you can go ahead and give that a read. It's not a hard read. It's a quick read, but it's very impactful about how to help stay positive, right? Because we're talking about complacency, and what creeps into complacency is negativity. Because even though it starts off positive because you're happy, you're comfortable, right? When you start downgrading your quality of life, you're not really progressing, things like that, negativity starts to seep in. And the book's on maintaining your energy and your positivity through times of stress or discomfort or whatever's going on in your life, right? So that's definitely something I'll get to you. It's a very good book, but it kind of ties into what I'm wearing. I don't know if you can really see it or not, but I'm wearing a shirt that says "Embrace the Suck." So for those of you that don't know, I spent 6 years in the Georgia Army National Guard, and that was something that was kind of preached to us because in the field, complacency can kill you. By embracing the suck, what that means is you're embracing your horrible situation that you're in, and you're learning to make it a positive, right? You got to find the silver lining in what you're doing, and you got to stay dedicated and motivated to fix your situation. Yeah. So
now, different strategies for staying motivated. Celebrate the small victories. That's important. A lot of people will beat themselves up for small failures, but are you really celebrating the small victories? Because those add up. Those get you momentum, right? Visualize your success. Having those goals, writing them down. Jim Rohn, an amazing, amazing person, really set into motion for me to start with a journal, keep up with it. And that makes a huge difference. So maintaining motivation. That's where you set that as your standard. I'm going to give a big shout out to one of my mentors, Coach Hill. He had in our store what we call the Spartan Standard. That was the standard. If you fell under that, it wasn't a beat you down kind of thing. It's a, hey, what can we do? What can you do to bring yourself back up to the standard? We have a minimum standard, and you want to be above that. But what is the minimum standard? What can we do? So setting your standards and setting your goals high. Another amazing quote that I heard, it's what his dad told him.
A third grade dropout daddy who was quoting Michelangelo when he was a cook at Cal Maritime, saying to us, boys, I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm going to have a real issue if you aim low and hit.
And that's super powerful, right? Set your goals high, fail, learn, rinse, repeat, do it again.
At least you tried, right? And then you'll figure out your missteps, and eventually you'll get there.
But even if you just try, right? If you aim for the stars, you still end up in outer space. See what I'm saying? Even if you don't hit that goal, you're still going to be way better off than if you hit that goal.
Oh, 100%. And you know what else? You may think that you missed your goal, but God opens doors for us that we don't understand, and we have to walk through them. So if you're aiming for what your goal is and you end up missing and hitting something else, like you said, right? You aim for a star, you miss, you're still in outer space. How many stars are in outer space? You just were aiming for the wrong one, and God pointed you in the right direction.
There you go. You just gotta have that tenacity, have that drive, stick with it, even if it doesn't, like, to your point, go exactly the way you want it to. Like, if you have the right mindset, you could be like, do you know what the cake said to the fork?
What?
You want a piece of me? You gotta have that attitude, bruh. You want a piece of me? Let's go. Bring the energy!
No, but it's, and we kind of talked about this earlier, right? Getting comfortable being uncomfortable, right? That's super important. Embracing the suck. It all means the same thing. But the only way to move forward is you got to take the next step. One other book that I love dearly. It's kind of like yours, but it's one of those short ones. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. So just a little snippet.
The Gus Notes.
Your Gus Notes, your Nick Notes. It's this boy is traveling on his way, right? And he ends up making some friends on the way, the mole, the fox, the horse, right? And there's a point in the book where the boy says, I can't see where I'm going. And the horse looks at the boy and says, but can you see your next step? The boy says, yes. The horse says, just take that. So for me, that's super powerful just because you may not see the destination, right? Or you may think you know the destination, you get, directed somewhere else. But the most important part of getting to that destination is taking the first step, taking your next step, taking what you can see in front of you.
Well, think about this. When you take a road trip, you can literally drive from New York to LA. You could even do it at night. Your headlights don't shine all the way from New York to LA. It only shines, 50 feet in front of you? But you can get all the way from New York to LA just seeing 50 feet at a time, bro.
You gonna take the next step?
So, all right, man. Wish me luck. I just got accepted for a senior position at the old McDonald's farm. I'm going to be the new CIEIO.
You wasted all the dad jokes on one podcast, bro.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
I got a ton of them.
So I'm just gonna say that whatever you have going on in your life, if you feel like you are complacent, just like we just said, we encourage you to just take the next step to whatever it's got to be. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Big Dead Energy Podcast. We would love your feedback. So please reach out to us at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X at Big Dead Energy Pods. Comment down below or email me at nick@bigdadenergypods.com.
Or you can reach me at gus@bigdadenergypods.com as well.
Until next time, stay positive and bring the energy! Oh, you thought I forgot? Nope.
All right, this joke better not suck, Nick. Otherwise, I'm just going to use one of mine.
So, what kind of coordination did Whitney Houston have?
I mean, she had pretty good hand-eye coordination, I guess.
Hand-eye!
I was literally going to sing that when you asked it at first. I didn't even think about that. Damn. And I will always love you.
You're going to get us for copyright, Gus.
Yeah, because I sing it just like her.